Hey everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another fashion edition. Today's video is featuring the wedding gowns that we all know and love. They are so iconic because they are so famous now. This dress that I am wearing today is too big now. It's way too big for me. Look at the shoulders. They're falling off my body. It is coming apart here, but I love this dress with all my heart. It is a beautiful swishy masterpiece. It's just too big for me, so please don't judge me. I just wanted to wear it today because it's the prettiest dress that I have, and even though it's too big, I still love it. I know it doesn't look as good on me anymore, but please excuse it. So we're going to start with my absolute favorite wedding gown I think I've ever seen on anybody. There are so many reasons why I love Catherine, Princess of Wales's wedding gown at the time. She became the Duchess of Cambridge upon wedding Prince William. This was back in, I think it was 2011. The ivory satin bodice of this was padded slightly at the hips to give her that hourglass shape to really enhance it. It was very narrowed at the waist to accentuate her tiny little waist, and it was inspired by the Victorian tradition of corsetry that is a hallmark of Alexander McQueen. Her parents actually paid for this $250,000 gown, which I think was a great move because then people can't criticize the cost of the gown. It has a Victorian style semi-bustle at the back, which I absolutely love. I love that volume in a wedding gown. I really, really do. And it has a short train that was just under 3 meters in length, so it was not overly dramatic. It was much more practical than some of the other trains that we have seen. To sort of fulfill the something blue British wedding tradition, there was a blue ribbon sewn inside the dress, which I did not know until I researched it for this video. And the design for the bodice of the dress, featuring the lace in the style of a 19th century, was the something old to the dress. The lace includes roses, thistles, daffodils, and shamrocks, which represent the national flowers of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, which is very reminiscent of the Queen's coronation gown. If you think back, because she had emblems from all 4 parts of the UK as well, which is really, really cool. And I thought that was super sweet. It wasn't over the top. It was just a nice edited gesture and very naturally incorporated in the lace. So that was super duper cool. Oscar de la Renta commented that it was a very traditional dress for a very traditional wedding, not ostentatious. There was not 50 meters of train and it was not over embroidered. It was just a very traditional dress for a ravishing girl who doesn't need a lot. And I thought that was perfectly put for this dress. It was just absolute perfection. It was the perfect example of editing, you know, it not being too voluminous, the veil being just right. It was just taking something and really making it perfectly tuned to the woman who was wearing it. It's like the most beautiful wedding gown, in part because of its classic and timeless nature. Its silhouette is very classic. Its design is very, very timeless. It doesn't have the like sparkle and glitter that was really trendy at the time, or the deep cuts or revealing aspects that were really trendy at the time, because that would have dated it so much. I'm so thankful that she didn't hop on any sort of a trend. The way that the lace came down and made that really beautiful V-neck, and I understand that the sheer aspect of the top was maybe a little bit edgy, but I just think it was perfect because it wasn't unusual in the modern age to have like strapless wedding gowns and stuff are super duper common. So it was also modern enough to not be out of place. And the lace and the silhouette are what really catch your eye, and they are going to forever look gorgeous until the end of time. No one's going to look back at that and be like, that's not that odd. You know, I think about that sometimes with Diana's looks in general, but especially her wedding dress was just ginormous. It literally looked like she was being eaten by poofy sleeves and whatnot. It was overwhelming, and it may not have even been very comfortable to wear on account of how huge it was. So it does look very dated. Her gown does. And while it's forever iconic and famous, I do think that like Kate's, for example, will be inspiring wedding looks forever because it's so well edited and reined in and just beautiful. And of course, flattering for her. Now, the reception dress is very rarely photographed. Like, literally, it is so hard to find pictures of it, but I do love it. You know, it may have been cap sleeves or even sleeveless. I can't quite tell. So she wore a jacket in a lot of these pictures that I could find. She had this jacket on. So that may have been why, if it was like cap sleeve or strapless or something, and she didn't want to, you know, reveal too much and rock the boat, which I totally get. That's very respectful of the institution she was joining. But this dress is very beautiful. It accentuates her waist. There's where we get that sparkle. And it was a very simple design. So I was really, really happy with that dress too. You know, they flattered her. It genuinely was, both gowns, the most beautiful she had ever been and ever will be. It was perfect. Now, funnily enough, we've seen far less of Prince William and Catherine's reception than others. They managed to keep it private and just for themselves all these years, unlike the other couple we know, who always whines about privacy. Bit odd. An upcoming fashion edition is going to feature the wedding guests' looks. It may even be a two-part thing because there are so many guests and so many weddings. So we're going to be seeing Kate at the other ladies' weddings, Pippa, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, and of course that horrible bedsheet disaster Meghan wore. We're going to be going over all the wedding guest looks in upcoming fashion editions. Today is reserved for the brides themselves. On to Beatrice. I love the nostalgia and sentimental value that this wedding gown has. It makes me love it even more. What a beautiful thing to do, you know? Grandma must have been so touched and proud. The sparkly linear design is very flattering. It shows off her great figure. It showed off the queen's great figure. And the addition of the sleeves, I think, was lovely for her. It made it more wearable as a wedding gown, and it brought a softness that created like an ethereal vibe for this dress. And her general design for her wedding, the aesthetic that her wedding had, I think the dress suited it really, really well. She went ahead and had that wedding during some of the pandemic times, so it was very scaled down and whatnot, but it was just beautiful. And because it has an element of history to it, it added a lot to the dress itself, and it's just so timeless overall. And bringing it into a current wedding gave the dress a renewed relevance that I think is going to be really cool when we see this dress next. And I think it's just really pretty and sweet and a great choice for her. Next, Princess Eugenie's gown. Now, this dress has really grown on me. At first, I didn't really like the front shoulder situation, but after studying it some, I quite like it. It really grew on me. I mean, she can look top heavy at times just because of her body type, and I think other shoulder designs could have really pulled them in visually even better if that's what you would want to go for. But this actually does serve its purpose because it does direct your eyes inward towards her chest and waist, and her sleeves are well fitted, which creates a slimming effect for her silhouette. The back is what really sold it for me. The gathering along the back and train, the sort of semi-bustle situation, that volume down the back is so pretty. I absolutely love it. Its silhouette is very unique, and I think it will age really, really nicely too. Fit is also really impeccable. I think that the bodice approach is so helpful in creating a great fit for a wedding gown, and literally the only person who didn't do it was Meghan. Big surprise. But I think the volume was in the right place for it. And again, I think when I started seeing it from the back and the like folding and draping of that fabric down the back, I was like, wow, that really is pretty. Because when I first saw it, I was like, meh. But now I really like it. I really do. On to Pippa. Honestly, this is one of the most beautiful dresses. It's almost as stunning as Kate's, but not quite. Kate's, I think, is still my favorite personally, but the silhouette is perfect for her. It really shows off her excellent figure. The lace is a little bit less dainty than Kate's, so I prefer the lace of Kate's, but it's still not like a deal breaker. The dress itself is very, very beautiful, and she looked lovely. But we have to talk about what Kate wore in the next fashion edition, because I'm not sure what was going on. There were rumors that she chose an unflattering dress so as to not outshine Pippa, which would be a total good sister thing to do. Like, what a home run, what a good girl she is. But we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it in the next one. If you're not subscribed, subscribe so you don't miss it. Okay, on to the Jordanian wedding. She had 2 wedding gowns, and they were both beautiful and great choices for her. I really loved the draping and gathering on this first one, which I believe was for the ceremony part of it. And it actually would have looked nice on Meghan, honestly, if it had had a bit more flair to the hips. But the diagonal lines accentuate her figure so, so well. It is so beautiful. I love how like sleek and classic it is. It's just gorgeous. The other one I also like. It's very ball gowny. It's very princessy. I don't particularly love the pattern on it as it kind of breaks up the flow with the big flowery embellishments, but I still think it's beautiful. It's just not my preferred taste. The cut and the fit are what really drives it home. It's great for her. Okay. There was so much drama surrounding Meghan's wedding that didn't need to happen. This woman was getting a wedding far bigger and more elaborate than they even deserved and than anybody could ever imagine. They had been together such a short period of time. She had been married before. The Queen wanted her to have something small, but no, she wanted all the bells and whistles, but then she was totally rude about everything. I got the vibe of how like sometimes a narcissistic or just like unkind sort of shallow type of person will do this like, this is the new me thing, and they'll like no longer need or want any previous connections. And she did that with like everybody she had ever known before, which is super duper weird. And she was handed so much on a silver platter, quite literally, and she chose to be petty and nasty and picky and not go with the flow on anything, it sounds like, which is so absurd. Like, just let the kids wear tights. You don't even have kids at that point. Like, just let them be. Let them do their thing. Choose your battles. I don't know. Anyway, let's focus on the wedding gown and not the drama, but, you know, discuss the drama in the comments. I'm going to be there. I'd love to see what you have to say. I was so excited to see this, and then it came out and I was like, oh, okay. It was so underwhelming. Somebody told me it looked like a Tic Tac. It reminded me of a banquet napkin again because it was just that same color and just so stiff looking, sort of in a lot of ways. It looked super stiff and it almost looked like the veil belonged to a different dress. This is my biggest beef with it. The dress itself was structured. It had strong, almost heavy looking hemlines, you know, like even around the wrists and things like that. It looked like heavy and solid and sort of a texture that seemed strong. And then there's this veil that's super dainty and airy and I mean, like 50 feet too long, but it was just so out of place. You know, the dress had zero embroidery, zero lace, zero other textures. It was all one thing. No soft features whatsoever, not even a soft line on that wedding gown. And then there's this huge elaborate veil. So if the dress had had two or more textures or had some sort of soft texture anywhere on it, it would have helped pull the veil into the look overall and unified it. But it looks so very much like there's the veil and the dress and they're two different vibes. What do you guys think? Just like one solid piece of fabric, no embellishments or whatnot, and then this disjointed veil with tons of embroidery that was so over the top. Something this simplistic also has to be perfectly fitted. Why wasn't it? It drives me nuts, and literally everybody has always said, even Katy Perry and other fashion designers said it needed more fittings. It really did. It had wrinklings, it had bunchings, it looked too big in some places, it looked too tight in others. It did nothing for her figure. It had no places of volume or shape to it, so it literally needed to be perfect, and it wasn't. If I were that designer or a tailor working on that, I would be so embarrassed. I'm also not a huge fan of the boat neck in this situation. I don't identify boat necks with these sorts of special occasion types of gowns and dresses. I think that they definitely can work and they definitely have their place, and there are times where they look amazing, but I just don't know that it fit for this. I think that there's so many things that would have been so much better for her. I think her body type would have benefited from something more flowy, something that had some softness to it, some soft lines or things of that nature. Maybe even like a sweetheart neck would have been really, really beautiful. And a bodice would have helped, something that added a little volume to her hips to like enhance her figure a little bit. Of course, you don't have to do that. You know, nobody has to, you know, go for that sort of hourglassy feminine shape. It's just on a day like this, it either needs to be executed absolutely perfectly or have some sort of element of design that can help enhance your figure and get around those fluctuations or movement, or, you know, they have to sit for part of the ceremony in these royal weddings, you know, to get around some of that and make some of that work well with the dress and be compatible with the event itself. You do need sometimes to add a little bit of volume or flowiness or a bodice or something of that nature to shake up the texture enough to make it work well. I'm just puzzled by it. Like, was she just trying to be different, modern? Like, what happened? I don't know. I know her aesthetic can go towards that sort of, like, she wants to go towards that chic sort of modern look sometimes, but I'm just not sure that this was the right time. And she was so rude to people. Like, she was rude to there's footage of her being rude to people on her actual wedding day. And as we know, she was causing all sorts of problems leading up to the wedding. So maybe this was a situation of everybody working on it was like, screw her, just let her make her own decisions. You know, we're not going to keep watching out for her and getting lashed out at. You know, maybe that's what resulted in this. The reception dress here, all I look at are her shoulders. I love the look of the dress itself, and I love, like, the bottom of the dress looks like it has a lot of good fabric, like it'll look beautiful when spinning around on the dance floor. But I think somebody with maybe slimmer shoulders, as in, like, not as wide, it would have been very, very flattering. I don't hate it. I'm so drawn to her shoulders in it. It's like, just that's all that stands out is those shoulders. So I'm not sure that that's what you would want in your wedding reception dress. I don't know. I think the plain waistline is the right choice for her. Like, if she had had some sort of belt situation on this, it would have been so disastrous. So at least we got that. What was your favorite and least favorite wedding gown? Maybe I'll set up a poll or something after this video comes out so we can see. And be sure to subscribe so you do not miss the wedding guest fashion editions, because there's some doozies in there. It gets weird. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate you so very much, and I hope that you have a happy day ahead. I'll see you next time. Bye!